Good evening, everyone. I'm Ann Harrison, Dean of the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. Welcome to tonight's Dean Speaker Series, which is being presented in collaboration with our Berkeley Haas Becoming a Changemaker course. Becoming a Changemaker was first introduced in January 2019 with the goal of helping students learn to lead positive change from wherever they are. Drawing from the field of change leadership, this course equips and inspires leaders to develop a changemaker mindset and changemaker leadership skills, and to put both into action. Created by Alex Budak, lecturer and director of the Berkeley Haas Global Access Program, specifically for Berkeley Haas, the curriculum has strong tie-ins to our defining leadership principles. It has been a welcome addition to our curriculum, and we are so grateful to Alex for inspiring this innovative approach to leadership. I am so thrilled to hear more from our speaker tonight, who has truly been a change maker in his own right. So let me turn it over to Alex to introduce our very special guest.
Thank you so much, Dean Harrison. It is my great privilege and pleasure to welcome all of you to this special session of Becoming a Changemaker, and to extend a very special welcome to our esteemed guest, Professor Mohammed Yunus. Changemaking has always been in the DNA of UC Berkeley and in Berkeley Haas, and the same is true with our guest tonight, Dr. Yunus. Too often we invoke the platitude that someone doesn't need an introduction, but in this case, I think they're actually right. In the case of Mohammed Yunus being the founder of Grameen Bank, the father of both microcredit and social business, his work and his impact speak for themselves. So rather than expand upon Professor Yunus's many successes and great impact, instead of recounting his impressive CV, which might take us the full 45 minutes he's with us anyway, I want to focus particularly on one aspect of his work as a change maker. As most of you know, one of the defining leadership principles of Berkeley Haas is beyond yourself. Professor Yunus is the embodiment of this concept. He's dedicated his career to serving others, especially so to the most marginalized. In our class, we learn about how change makers apply concepts like empathy, resilience, and smart risk-taking to lead positive change. And not only has Professor Yunus regularly practiced these aspects of a change maker himself, he's also inspired countless others to follow in his footsteps. And that count certainly includes me. On a personal note, Professor Yunus and his work have been a huge inspiration to me in my work as a social entrepreneur before joining Berkeley Haas, and certainly creating and teaching this class. For that, Professor Yunus, I will be forever grateful. This evening, Professor Yunus will share some remarks and insights with us about leading change in a post-COVID world. We'll then open up the discussion to include some questions from all of you. You can submit your questions directly in the Q&A feature on Zoom as we go along, but we will of course give priority to students in my Becoming a Changemaker class, but everyone is welcome to submit their questions, and I'll do my very best to get to as many as possible. So with that, let me get out of the way and invite all of you to join me in welcoming Professor Mohammed Yunus to Berkeley Haas and to Becoming a Changemaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good morning and good evening from Bangladesh. And Dean Harrison and Alex and Sarah and everybody else. I'm delighted to be with you this morning to talk about what are the issues that I'm struggling right now in the context of the pandemic. Briefly, what I would say, the pandemic has been an occasion which brought us opportunities. One such thing that the pandemic has done, that it has revealed all the weaknesses in our systems, the things that we have taken for granted, never paid any attention to it closely. Suddenly we saw that these are all make-believe things, didn't really stand out in the face of difficulties like pandemic. One such difficulty was a massive number of people who were hanging by the nails in their life to make a livelihood and continue with their life. Suddenly their nails failed. They are not there anymore. They are livelihood is gone, their income is gone. They don't know what to do. And these are not just a small number at the bottom of the pyramid, as they call. It's a huge proportion of total human population on this planet. In most countries, there are 70% of the population, which is economists generally talk about informal sector. That's a big sector which is hit very hard. And it reveals many of the things that we knew about it, but we didn't visualize it or we didn't realize it. Suddenly it became real in front of us. And we had no tool, no idea how to handle that. So we got into debates, some of them unnecessary debate. But what point I want to make, the pandemic has given us a visualization of all these problems and see what we can do. The most important thing that for me, I'll mention in this segment, that how eager, how desperate, how committed the governments and the businesses are to go back to where we are coming from, the pre-pandemic time. They put the economy back to the pre-pandemic position so that we can feel, give a sigh of relief. It's all over. We're back again. We're happy about that. And I raised the question, why are we in a hurry to go back? What is there to go back to? Should we go back at all? To me, that world that we are coming from the pre-pandemic time, was a terrible world. The world which is carrying us, pushing us to go to an ultimate disaster, eliminating the human life on this planet. That's where we are heading. We're almost like in a train, a bullet train or a speed train, rushing to our death with the global warming to begin with. We are told repeatedly that global warming is making our life impossible to survive on this planet. And it's coming very fast. There's very little time left. We are on a countdown situation that we know that exactly where it will finish. Some gave us 2 decades of time, some gave us 3 decades of time, 1.5 degrees Celsius, 2 degrees Celsius, that's about it. And it's all over. And that's the world that we stopped. Pandemic has stopped this train from rushing to that. So we should be in a way grateful to the pandemic that it has stopped that train. And by stopping the train, we get a chance. That's a great opportunity we got. We get a chance that we ask ourselves the question, should we reboard the train? Should we get back to the train and push the train to pick up the speed and ultimately go and finish it up, which is few kilometers away? Is this what the intention is? So I said that whole idea of going back is suicidal. You know that it's waiting down there. And this is an opportunity to see go some other direction. So why don't we take that opportunity? Not only global warming, which is very prominent, and it's a prominent in a very strange way. It's happening right now. All the young teenagers marching on the street, calling themselves the Fridays for Future. Their simple messages, they're blaming their parents for being totally irresponsible. Because of responsibility, they created a world where these teenagers have no future. They say, you have stolen our future. Imagine the own children accusing the parents that you have stolen our future. This is what we have got into. And I asked the question, if our children, the teenagers raising this question, imagine what our grandchildren will talk about if they have ever get a chance to talk about. Because these teenagers, they feel that they will not have full life for themselves and life not worth living kind of situation. Grandchildren will have nothing to do with it. So this is the situation that we are actually coming from. We realize it. We said we can say that the house is on fire. So it's a question of not just a small action to make sure that we are comfortable in one corner of that burning house. There's no corner that happened. So if this burning house, we don't want to go back to that burning house, then how do you stop that? That's the question. The second point in the same direction that I don't want to go back because of this is a world of extreme wealth concentration. That has been proven, that has been discussed again and again. And during US election, Bernie Sanders making this issue again and again. It's a global phenomenon. It's not a US phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon. All the wealth of the world is concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. And the rest of the people, 99% of the population, have really nothing. And all the wealth is in the hands of that 1%. And it's getting worse every day. Because the machine that we built, which now stopped, machine that we built works for that purpose. Everything is to take the wealth from the bottom and push it to the top. It's a big sucking machine of the wealth, pushing it to the top. Do we call it a system where all the blood in our body concentrates in a fingertip and the rest of the body doesn't have any blood? And that's the kind of system we call it, and you call it a system. This is a mockery of a system. So why do we want to go back to that mockery? And it's an explosive situation. It's not just a thing happens and we can ignore it. You can't, because it's a ticking time bomb. It will explode in anger, human anger, and human discontentment of the world. So that's not the world we should go back to. Third point is artificial intelligence. I say artificial intelligence have a simple message that the machine works better than human beings. And this will continue to do more and more. And all human beings will be surplus, will not needed in the world anymore. And I don't want to be in the world where human beings become surplus and unnecessary and kind of pest-like entities roaming around this planet. And some pest control department of the artificial intelligence will be instructed to clean us up someday because we are not necessary at all and we are consuming and wasting and all kinds of things. So we'll be, in all aspects, will be considered totally irrelevant for the planet and so on. I said, I don't want to go to the planet where I'm totally unnecessary. I thought I have the creativity as a human being to make this world a better place, a wonderful place, and every day, every generation comes to make it more wonderful than it was before. What we are doing, we're making it worse, every generation making it still worse, and that's the direction. So I don't want to repeat that. I said, pandemic gives us the opportunity to rethink and redesign and go in a different direction. That's the whole thing. This is not for small steps. As I said, this house is burning, so a small bucket of water doesn't help it. Or hiding in one corner doesn't help it. It's a time for taking outrageously bold decisions. And it's very difficult, but very important. That's the only way we can survive. And I said, why don't we create a world of 3 zeros? Zero net carbon emission. That's the only way we can survive. The planet will be cleaner and better, and everybody will be safe in zero net carbon emission, and zero wealth concentration. Wealth should be shared. We can design a system. It's like designing a software. We can design a system where wealth is shared in the whole system. We are not paying attention to it. We are so comfortable in our comfort zone that we know that house is burning, but we don't want to do anything. We know how to stop that burning. It's nothing miraculous or something strange thing to happen. We know exactly the steps that we need to take so that we can make this world a place of happiness rather than a place of extreme worries that this is the end of the whole story and the human habitation will be over very soon. So this is, we have to get out of our comfort zone and make those outrageous decisions to make that happen. And zero net carbon emission, zero wealth concentration, and zero unemployment, so that human beings continue to remain as active, as creative as it could be to make this world a place of happiness rather than a place of destruction and committing suicide. So this is the point that I think Corona pandemic brings out very clearly. We can discuss this. I'll stop here and continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yunus. Let me pick up on where you left off, which is to say that most social entrepreneurs, most innovators dream of perhaps changing one system. In your career, you've changed at least 2 when it comes to social business and microfinance. So how do you think about starting to change some of these systems? What are the things that we as individuals can do? And what are the things that we as business leaders can do?
First, I would say, basically it's individuals. We are the people who make the world. We decide what the world will be. For example, if you accept that the world is coming to an end by global warming, just take the global warming part of it. First of all, we know who's responsible for global warming. It's not a secret. We know how much, who contributes how much in global warming. We have all the numbers. We know the addresses of the people, addresses of the companies who make that happen. So if we are interested in saving the planet from the global warming, we make the phone calls. We take it to them so that they don't do that anymore, so that the planet's safe. Nobody imagines that they will listen to you. I said, well, as an individual, I can do that. I can, for example, I have my bank account in a bank where I put my money. And I can ask the bank a question, where do you put my money? I put my money into your bank, but you must be putting this money into someplace. And where do you put it? Do you put it in a fossil fuel industry? Do you put it in a plastic industry? Do you put it in this? Give me the record, what you have. If you put in those things which creates global warming, sorry, I cannot open my account with you because I have to go to some place where my money is safe, it's not destroying this place. So I want to support the companies, the businesses, which are in tune with my objective of this planet. And I went to grocery shopping. I look for the product which doesn't use those things to create global warming. And I will insist that my products are put in some identification marks, like a red marks or blue marks or yellow marks or whatever. If it is a red mark, meaning it contributes to the global warming, I don't want to buy that red mark. If it's a green mark, I will buy the place. This is green, this is helping becoming the planet better. So I'm making decisions. If I keep making such decisions, companies which are not doing the right thing, doing the opposite thing, they will see that nobody is supporting. So my decision is the most important decision, what I do. So individuals can make decisions. At the same time, I can create businesses to solve problem myself. I can create social business to solve the problem of fossil fuel. I can bring solar energy. I can bring green energy in place of that as a social business. I support social business. I invest in social business, and so on. So these are the broad action that I can take. First of all, most important thing, I have to redesign the thinking process itself, like in the academic institutions, where the making of this mental faculty of designing things and creating new ideas and concepts are taking place. And I'll be challenging. These are which are being handed over to me. I know these are responsible for the world that you already created, the global warming, world concentration. So I'll be very suspect that I don't want to touch on any one of them. I want to get away. If they have done it this way, I'll do the opposite way. Then global warming will disappear. So I want to study in this for the sake of turning it around, not to adopt it, but to oppose it. And they tell us that all human beings are born as somebody who is driven by self-interest. And that's where the core of the whole business world has been created. Business world translated it as a profit maximization. Self-interest meaning profit maximization. That's what creates all the support for me and so on. So I will reverse that. I said, no, I'm a human being. I'm not a money-making robots. I'm a human being. I have some drive for self-interest, but I have a stronger drive for common interest. That drive was not included in economics. I want to put that drive into me as a human being. I want to be economics as a science of human beings, not science of robots. So I want to play that common interest part of it. For self-interest, you create a profit maximizing company. I will create a business for common interest, a business where I don't want to make money. I want to solve problems. So this is the reverse of what the conventional business is telling me, the self-interest. So I take it to another step. There'll be two kinds of businesses, businesses to make money, business to solve problems. So I go step by step, everything they are telling me, I challenge it. I say that this is what I see is more comfortable for me, and this is why this. So this thinking process and individual action. Individual action is the most powerful action than any government can ever do.
And when it comes to those individual actions, you talked about how this is the time for bold actions, and you're at a place, Berkeley, where you have no shortage of bold thinkers and doers. What would you tell us to do with some of those bold actions? What are some of the things you would like to see us this next generation of change makers go create and lead?
Well, that's right. It's those change makers and bold changes have to be taken. The point I would like to make that the young generation who are in Berkeley and studying and place of taking bold decisions, to feel that you are the most powerful generation probably in the human history, not the Berkeley generation, young generation, or wherever he or she is born, whichever corner of the world, whether in a rich family, poor family, born on the street, born in the palace, doesn't matter. All these young people are the lucky people because they are the most powerful generation in human history. Not because you are smarter than other generation, just simply because you are born with enormous capacity of technology in your hand. You just got into it. If you are a 5-year-old, 7-year-old today, you have more technology, more understanding of technology than your parents and grandparents. So it goes reverse. Your grandparents are still in a prehistoric technology. Your parents have a little bit of technology, but nothing to compare with the technology that the 6-year-old or 5-year-old handles and is comfortable with. So that's the technology which makes you the most powerful generation in human history. And if you think about it, whether it makes sense to you, if it makes sense to you, yes, you are a powerful generation. If it is not the most powerful, but definitely a powerful generation. If you feel it, you ask yourself the question, what use you make of that power? If you don't have any answer for that, this power will be just wasted away. You'll be doing some frills, some silly things with that power, rather than the power which you can change the world. You just change your doorstep or your design of your home or something like that, nothing else. But you have the capacity to change the world. So feel that power and make sure you use that power. If you don't use it, it will be totally wasted away. I put it this way, I'll put it this way. I'll say, you have the Aladdin's lamp in your hand, but you will never realize that it is Aladdin's lamp. You just treat it as just like any other lamp. So you never had the opportunity or willingness to touch it. So the genie will come out of it. And then you'll ask the genie to do whatever needs to be done. I said, you think it this way about that story. You are the Aladdin's lamp. You don't need a separate Aladdin's lamp. Today you are born as Aladdin's lamp. Genie is in you. You are the genie. So tell the genie what to do. If you don't tell the genie what to do, it will never be done. So it will be just the way it was been. So that's the challenge. And if you are in Berkeley, you are extra privileged because then you are given another circumstances to make that happen. One person alone is good enough to change the whole world. You don't need to change everybody. Just change one person. Every one of us, not just a special privileged, but is freak of the nature, not like that. Each human being is good enough to change the whole world. So feel that and make it happen.
Professor Yunus, Jerry Dodson, who is the father of value investing in the United States, is asking you a question. He's asking, I was hoping you would talk more about how you have helped the poor work their way out of poverty.
Yeah. Well, I just mentioned something in the beginning. I said it revealed all the weaknesses of our society. And bulk of the people on the planet is struggling to make a livelihood for themselves on their own. And economists have no clue whatsoever what they're doing. This is something don't have any structure or any rules, procedures, anything. So they call them informal sector because they have no rules for them. And they're left alone on their own. I said economists made a biggest blunder by doing that, by not recognizing the worth of these people, what they call informal sector. And this is not a tiny sector, as I said, in many countries, including Bangladesh. India, 70% of the population who are thrown into unknown situation for pandemic because whatever they're doing is completely cut off. So they are the first one to show that the pandemic, how cruel it is. So all I'm trying to tell the conventional economy that, look, if you just change the name of that sector, instead of informal sector, you call them micro-entrepreneurial sector, because that's what they do. They sell their labor, they sell their products, they sell things on the street, and that's make a living. And the whole world is run by them. The whole world, they survive this, making these livelihoods on their own without any support from anybody. The moment you call them micro-entrepreneurial sector, design it, think as a sector, this micro-entrepreneurial sector, then you see this is the powerhouse of the society, powerhouse of the economy, because they belong to the entrepreneurial sector of the entire nation. So you have the entrepreneurial pyramid of the nation. At the top, you have the multi-billion-dollar entrepreneurs. At the middle, you have the multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs. At the bottom, you have the multi-hundred-dollar entrepreneurs. And then if you think that they belong to this pyramid as a base, then you see open up the door, how to step by step they go up. And you must remember, the finance is the fuel of entrepreneurship. At least 70% of population has nothing to do with the conventional financing system. They're left out completely. No bank will go anywhere near them. So how do they do their micro-entrepreneurial activity that they were stopped by the pandemic? The only source globally is a loan shark. You call them mafia, you call them payday lenders in different places, different things, but they do the same thing. They give you the money in extreme conditionalities. But you have to do it because otherwise you cannot survive, so you take it. So entire income the micro-entrepreneurs make passes on to the loan sharks. Very little for survival. So they remain what they are. Somebody else, a middleman, makes the money, taking the sweat out of them and make the money for us. All the policymakers have to do, all the economists have to do is to recognize them as a micro-entrepreneurial sector and come up with a micro-entrepreneurial banking system, which will be supporting them. So I said, why don't you create micro-entrepreneurial banks, a separate bank, because the conventional bank will not do that. So this is a different kind of bank, exactly like what at least we have examples like Grameen Bank and others. So it's not thrown into unknown thing. It's a very known thing. We work in the United States. We have branches near San Francisco, 2 branches in San Francisco, many in, several in Los Angeles. In total, we have 25 branches of Grameen America, lending money to poor women, 130,000 women. Over time now, with 11 years, we have given $12 billion with perfect repayment, over 99%. See, these are documented, these are on the internet, but nobody pays any attention to it. It can be done. We have been doing it for 11 years without any problem. So why don't you create that? Only thing I would say, not only you create a new law to create microfinance, micro-entrepreneurial banks, it should be social business micro-entrepreneurial banks. Unless you put that conditionality that it will be social business micro-entrepreneur, these micro-entrepreneurs banks themselves can become loan sharks. Because the moment you see that there's an opportunity to make money, suddenly you become greedy. Suddenly you get addicted to make money out of the poor people. So that doesn't help. So you cut the door. So this would be anybody who's interested to create social business micro-entrepreneurial bank. That's what the Grameen America is. Just to give an example, right near your home, right near your Berkeley campus, there are branches there. You can go and see what they're doing. And ask yourself the question, why don't you do it nationwide? What's the problem? Who stops it? If they're paying back, if every branch becomes sustainable with your own income, own thing, and people borrowing money and paying back and improving their life, even in pandemic situation. In pandemic situation, we're talking about all the horrible things. You go and check what they're doing. What is the story they have to tell? So this is the key to the whole thing. You have to redesign everything. Your banking system is the vehicle for wealth concentration. All the wealth, they are the one who takes it there. So why don't you make it the other way? Put it in reverse gear. Instead of taking the wealth to the top, they bring the wealth from the bottom to the from the top to the bottom. We just put the reverse gear, like we did in the finance, in the microfinance. What we did, we put the banking system in reverse. They want you to go to the rich. We said we go to the poor. That's the reverse. They want you to go to the men. We reversed it. We say we go to the women. They put you to go to the city center. We said, no, we go to the remote village. They want you to have collateral. We reversed it. We said, no collateral. They want you to have lawyers. We said, no lawyers. We don't, our system doesn't have any lawyers. We given over $12 billion without lawyers in the United States. And he has no problem over this 12 years or 11 years that we have been working. So why are you pushing the system which is creating all the problem and making whole human existence in peril? And still we think this is a good system. There's nothing good about the system because the net result is global warming, net result is wealth concentration, net result is massive unemployment through artificial intelligence. So that's the net result. No matter what you argue over good and bad, this is the net result you got. We have very limited time left.
Professor Yunus, let me bring on some of our Berkeley changemakers now.
Okay.
To Kai,
Sure.
would love for you to ask a question.
Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your insights that you've been able to share. I'm fortunate enough to be enrolled in Professor Budak's class this semester, and I'm originally from Sierra Leone, and I've been really inspired by the work you've been able to do, and I've been trying to model something similar in Sierra Leone, my home country. And my question for you is, how were you able to really begin making the change before you had the necessary experience, expertise, and credentials to do so?
Yeah. Well, good question. It's a first thing I would say, don't wait for the experience because most of the experience will be wrong experience and you'll be sucked into it. So remain free. Your mind is still free. Your thinking is still free. Do it as absolutely in a free way, in a common sense thing. Do whatever common sense drives you. Common sense is much more powerful than what we have done with all the knowledge and the glory of intellectual ability and so on. Common sense is far better than that. So go step by step. Look at the problem, whatever the problem you're looking at, closely. Look at the problem closely. If you're looking at the poverty, you see what poverty is. What is it that they need? Can you be helpful in designing something what they need? Like if poverty is caused by them, is somebody's education. There are people with education, but poor people. So what do you do with that? So see which one will work for you. Just don't take any advice from anybody else. Come out with your own way. I came to the conclusion in my one work to share with you. I said, poverty is not created by the poor people. It's not their fault that they're poor people. Poverty is created by the system we built. That system doesn't allow them to do the things they're capable of doing. So all their creativity power is completely denied opportunity. So they remain what they are. I tell them, I explain by saying that it's like a bonsai tree. You take the seed of the tallest tree and put it in a flower pot. Put the seed in the flower pot. It grows a tree, but a small tree, not the tall one that you saw. And we call it bonsai. It's an exact replica of the tall one. So what's wrong with this tree? Why is it so short? Simple reason is we put the seed, the genuine good quality seed, but we didn't give the space, the soil to grow as high as it is. We put it in a flower pot. It needed a lot more than the flower pot. So poor people are bonsai people. Their seed is as good as anybody else in the world. Simply society never gave them the space to grow as tall as everybody else. So we have to fix the society, fix the thinking process, fix the system so that people can grow up. And that's where we have to attack all this banking system, all the legal system and everything else that we are talking about. You take it whatever you want. It's healthcare. If you want to bring water, nothing is unimportant. Water is such a significant, it's a very small thing, but a very significant life and death. And the whole world has a problem of water. But you can create a social business water system so that everybody gets water in an affordable way. Like, for example, corona vaccine. Today, the vaccine is a big issue. I'm sure every day you're reading about it. I said, why the big companies have to make money out of your life? Why vaccine, which saves your life, it gives you the enormous opportunity to make super profit for a few companies because they sell only to the rich countries and the poor countries are left out completely. 13% of the population of the entire world is in the rich countries. 87% is in the non-rich countries, poor countries, and so on and so forth. But all the vaccines which are being produced are bought up by all these 13% governments. They're not leaving anything for the poor people. I said, why do you have to have a pharmaceutical company, allow them to maximize or make super profit out of the life-saving vaccine that they have to produce? Why don't we create social business pharmaceutical company to produce vaccines? So that I have no interest in making money. My interest in the business is to make sure everybody gets it in an affordable way. And it can be done. Simply our mind doesn't work. We don't discuss this in our classroom. We never thought we can create a social business the pharmaceutical company and do that. Today, Gavi is raising lots of money. COVAX is trying to make sure that all the countries can get the vaccine money and the donations from rich countries. I said, why don't you make it a principle in the Gavi and COVAX and all these international groups that are coming up to help poor people get some money to buy the vaccines, helping them. I said, why don't you make sure you will support only the vaccines which are produced in poor countries globally, not the few companies. So you're fundraising for the companies to make profit. Why are you raising money for big companies to make big profit? Why don't you say your money will go to the small companies and spread around the world? The pharmaceutical companies will be producing vaccines for local people, not sending it to the rich countries. So these are just a mindset. Everything can be done in a business way. I'm not talking about a non-business thing. You're giving the money away anyway. I said, why don't you invest in a social business pharmaceutical company rather than giving the money away, write checks and say, we gave them so many billions of dollars to make the vaccines, to have the vaccines produced by some Swiss company or some French company or from a US company, and they make a super profit out of it. I said, use the money to invest in creating a social business pharmaceutical company, produce it, and make patent out of this picture. Why should you make the patent owned by commercial companies to make that happen? Vaccine should be patent free. It should be a global common good, like the polio vaccine. Polio vaccine was a common good. So there's an instance, I'm not taking some funny things. Still the polio vaccine is a common good. It can be produced by anybody. There's no control over the patent that you have to pay me so much money before you produce it. So that has to be distinguished from that. So we have made appeal already to make the vaccine as a common good. We are now trying to move the United Nations General Assembly to pass a resolution to make declaring vaccine as a common good for the whole world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Shannon.
Hi there, Professor Yunus. Thanks so much
hello.
for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Leading during good times can feel challenging, but it can feel downright daunting during something like COVID and after COVID. What advice would you have for those who are trying to lead change among those who might be dealing with fear, grief, or trauma?
Well, you said good time. I don't see good time. That's the point I'm making. There was no good time. We were going to a dead end. It's a finishing line is just visible. So that's what you said, the good time. I said, you are so absorbed in enjoying the party. We're in a party. We are addicted. We are drunk. So we don't see the finishing line. I said, pandemic has wakened you up. There's no party anymore. So you can see what the reality of the world. I said, then you come to the conclusion that I'm not going to finish my life on the finishing line. I'm going the other way. I'm not going to the finishing line way. So that's where we have to work. So if you say this is a good time, then sorry, that's not what I see. I see it's a terrible time. And it's coming. You can go anywhere you want. Your future is limited as a young people. And your teenager brothers and sisters, they have not the facility and the opportunity to grow as many years as you would in your life. And your children will have no life at all. So that's the scenario that we have. You can debate about it, you can discuss about it. The reality is that even the United States, your country, many of your country, has withdrew from the Paris Agreement and says it's a hoax. It's a Chinese hoax. And the global warming is a Chinese hoax, like the pandemic was a Chinese hoax for that. So it's a denial. We are busy with the party. Let's enjoy the party. You enjoy, but at what cost? So that's the whole issue. So I said, wake up. So if you think the party is over, you can wake up and you can undo everything we did. Everything we have done have to be undone to make sure we go the other way. If you're old roads, if you're following old roads will always take you to the old destination. And the old destination in this case is a disaster. So we have to go to a new destination. That's what I was referring to as a world of 3 zeros. That's a new destination, a reverse of the old destination. It has a global warming, we said it's zero global warming, zero net carbon emission. It's a wealth concentration, we said zero wealth concentration. Wealth should be shared by everybody. Not because the government ordered it, the system makes it that. We are the creator of the system, you are the creator of the system, that's why you're in Berkeley. If you say, no, we are not creator of the system, we're a promoter of the system, then you're finished. You don't have to go to Berkeley to do that. If you're a creator of a system, then it's worth going to Berkeley, because you have to undo the previous thing, all the wrong things that have been done. So you create a system which works exactly the opposite of it. No global warming, no wealth concentration, no removing of the human beings from his workplace, and so on. So this is a design you have to make. So if you want to go to a new destination, you have to build new roads. Old roads will never take you to the new destination. New roads have to be built to go to the new destination. That's a simple truth. So we have to, our job, as now the pandemic has given us a good chance to go extra mile to make that happen. As I said, we have to make outrageously bold decisions, not just tinkering here and tinkering there. The tinkering days are over. That's not going to save us at all. So we have to undo things and make things different.
Professor Yunus, we have so many people who would like to stick with you for the rest of your day in Bangladesh if we could, but we're running out of time.
Okay.
So let me ask one final
welcome.
question, which ties together, a number of people have asked this and ties together closely with one of the concepts we learn a lot in our class. So a number of people ask this, but I'll ask a question from Ananya. She asked, what are some of the ways you failed forward, especially early in your career, but as you talk about resilience, you talk on an organizational level, on a world level, on a systems level, but how about on an individual level? What are some of the ways that you have practiced failing forward and resilience in your own career?
I will say like this, all this 1,000-mile journey starts with a small baby step. So don't get totally overwhelmed by the 1,000-mile journey. Just concentrate on the first baby step. So if you refer to my experience, I was not worrying about, thinking about creating a whole banking system. Banks never existed in my mind when I started. I was not struggling against a bank. All I was trying to do in the village next door where I was teaching in the university, the campus borders with the village. So I was trying to see if an extreme poverty in the village. Here I get beautiful economic theories in the classroom. So the mismatch between the two kind of shook me up in the situation of a famine in the country. People dying right there, and I'm talking about big theories. I said, what are the theories? If people are dying, what good are they? So I said, forget about these theories. Just go to people, see if you can be helpful to one person or two persons. That's worth more than the theories that you have learned for over your years. So precisely that's what I was doing. And trying to understand if I can be of some help, because I have not learned anything. I said, I wasted my time all my life learning economics, so that's a total waste. So why don't I try to start from the 0 point that I can do? So I did lots of small things to make myself, what I said, useful to other people. So people in the village. So that's my ambition, how to make myself useful to other people. And I saw the loan sharking in the village very vividly, to make it a short story. And one thought came, can I protect at least 1 or 2 people from the loan sharks? And I was thinking, I don't have the capacity to save all the people in the village from the loan shark. That's too big for me. Can I protect 1, 2, or 3? The idea is, why don't they lend the money to people who need the money rather than let them go to the loan shark? So I tell the people that next time you need money, come to me. I can help you. So that was the beginning. And I had no intention of making money out of it. I had no intention of making sure all the rules and procedures, nothing. Just says, you need money, I give you money. And you gave me an understanding that you'll return the money someday. And I'm not even asking for interest or anything. Whereas loan sharks are grabbing everything you got, including your land, your house, your possessions, everything, for that same money. So they thought it's a big relief. Why not try? They didn't believe me. They didn't have trust on me at that time. They just said, well, maybe he's a bigger loan shark, trying to take everything more than what others are doing. So they were very cautious. I said, yeah, you take your time. So this was the beginning. So I had no idea that it conflicts with something else. Simply, I was trying to protect people from the loan sharks. And it worked. People loved it. It became popular. And then I got in conflict with the banking system. Why? Because my money was running out after a couple of years, all the money that I've given out. They're coming back, but it's growing much faster than I come up with the money. So I went to the bank. I said, can you give the money to people? The bank said no. Then I said, why no? Then they gave me all the explanation why when people are not creditworthy, poor people have no bankability and so on and so forth. So I kept on arguing with them. Why do you say that they're not creditworthy and so on? Oh, but you cannot pay back. I said, they're paying me back. Well, for a few people, they make my word, but bank cannot just stop at few people. They have to do it big way. I said, well, who says the big way cannot be functioned? So this is the debate. I said, you created a bank in a very funny way. Bank is supposed to lend money to people, but do it in a very strange way. You lend money to people who already have lots of money, and you don't lend money to people who don't have money. I said, any logic will tell you that you should start by lending money who don't have money. And then finally, you gradually, when you end this, then go to the middle and the high. But you do it completely reverse. Oh, they laughed. They said, this is not banking. I said, this is banking. And then I offered myself as a guarantor because they will not give me the money otherwise. So I said, okay, I'm the guarantor. I'll sign all your papers. If they don't pay, I'll pay. So they were very reluctant to accept it, but I was becoming such a nuisance for them. I'm speaking against banking all the time. So they thought the only way to stop me is to give him some money. And he will fail. Once he fails, he can't shout it anymore. So they were waiting for me to fail. And in the meantime, I'm happy to get the money and lend the money. And luckily it worked. And that's, so the point I was making, I had no pre-plan. It was just one step. I had no idea what the next step will be. I take one step at a time without knowing what the next step will be. Would there be at all any other step? So it's a learning by doing. I had no knowledge whatsoever. Now I was telling you that everything that we did finally looks like we did the reverse of what the others did. Not at that time. At that time, I'm just doing piece by piece. When you put them together in the backside and look around in your hindsight, you see whatever you have done is just piece by piece a reversal of the entire banking system. And funny, it works. It works not only in Bangladesh, it works globally, everywhere. So that's what, so don't worry about the big journey. Whatever is important, if you're important, take the first step. If you're trying to help unemployed young people to find employment, create a social business, not for millions of unemployed young people, just to take 2 or 3 unemployed people out of unemployment. Create a business where these people will be accommodated as a wage earners or salary earners, and their problem is solved. You have a business running, and so social business is, you don't want to take any profit out of it, but it solves your, it's a sustainable business. So you solve the problem of 3 young people. If you have done it for 3 young people, you have taken the first step. These 3 young people will lead you to 3 billion people. But this is the same thing, you just repeat, that's all. You improve, you design things and so on. So all giant problems are actually a kind of a combination or additions of tiny, tiny atomistic problems. So you go to the atoms, not to the giant thing. If you know how to solve the atomistic one, you just repeat it. That's what the beauty of the business is.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. You have
Thank you.
inspired so many of us tonight, and we are so incredibly grateful to you for
Thank you.
taking the time to speak with us. And I must say, I'm also really grateful to you because as a fellow academic, I just want to tell you how wonderful it is. So many academics are afraid to go from the theory to the real world, right? They don't want to take that step. Somehow it dirties their hands, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
and thank you so much for showing us the power of thought which goes and becomes reality. We are just so grateful to you. This has been such an inspirational evening. Thank you very much. And now I think Alice Budak would like to say a few words.
Just
Thank
to
you,
thank
Dean
you
Harrison.
again,
Thank
to
you.
echo on behalf of all the change makers in my classes and throughout UC Berkeley and Berkeley Haas. You've taught us both with your own experience as well as your word tonight, how to question the status quo. And I really hope you'll come visit us again, either in person or virtually again, and you'll see how many of us have followed in your footsteps. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.